And welcome to the Queen City Sports Podcast. It's your host, Cameron Lee, back for the second night in a row. Thanks everyone who tuned in last night. Going to keep it short and sweet tonight. We're going to make us our college edition show. Got a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, you guys see the flag behind me. You see what I got on today. It's all about Xavier Nation in this household. Obviously, my dad playing at Xavier. I'm a huge Xavier fan, but my mom also did go to UC, so I do have a lot of respect for UC. So I'm going to keep it neutral when I'm talking Xavier and UC here on the show. I just want both of them to be successful, honestly, but I want Xavier to be more successful, if I'm being completely honest. So let's just go ahead and throw that out there in the beginning and let that be known right from the get. But I do have my co-host with me today, who is obviously a UC supporter, my good friend Bob Murdock. Bob, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not going to be neutral. It's Bearcat Nation. It's Cincinnati, Ohio all day. But happy to be back. Happy to get the college show started. And got a lot of good stuff to cover tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to cover tonight. Obviously, with the big Thursday night football game, the Raiders and Chargers, and mostly for fantasy football purposes, it's a big game. But it's still a big game. So we'll try to keep it short tonight. We're going to probably be on for about 30 to 35 minutes. But like we said, we're going to talk Xavier. We're going to talk UC. Obviously, I got to start off first by just going ahead and talking about my Xavier Musketeers, who are one of the last undefeated teams in the country. We obviously beat the Cincinnati Bearcats again, which we've consistently done since I've been born in 1992. I know that UC fans love to bring up the 1950s and, the early 1990s, when neither Bob or most of you UC fans out there were born to see that. But you love throwing that into Xavier faces. But since I've been born in 1992, clearly the better team has been Xavier. It's been Xavier. This has been our city for a long time. I know that's hard for a lot of you guys to understand, but it's our city once again this year after beating UC a couple weeks ago. Now, after that game, I do have a bunch of buddies who are UC fans. I did let them know that I think UC was in a good spot. Now, one thing as a Xavier fan that I always told people, and that's why I'm glad I got this podcast now, because now I can let you guys know what I think. When Mick Cronin was the coach of UC, I was a happy man. You know why? Because I knew that we would always be the better program. When Bob Huggins was the coach, we obviously upset them a few times. We were the number one team in the country. When Bob Huggins left, there was an opportunity there. Andy Kennedy, I thought, was actually a pretty good coach. I didn't know why you guys didn't go with that hire right away. But you guys went with Mick Cronin, the young guy from Murray State who had been on Rick Pitino's bench. And it was one of the greatest things that happened for basketball reasons for Xavier, because we always knew that we were going to be better than you guys. I don't remember what Mick Cronin's record was against Xavier. I know it was a losing one. Chris Mack dominated him. Sean Miller dominated him. We always had the better team. We have the better team again this year. Obviously, with COVID the past week, we haven't been able to get out on the court. I do believe that all that stuff should be cleared up for this weekend. I'm trying to look at who we got. I believe that we got Marquette. So, yes, we have Marquette on the 20th on Saturday. So, hopefully we can get that game played, or Sunday. Hopefully we can get that game played and, get back on track. We got a lot of guys that are going to be eligible. We'll talk about that a little bit down the road, but I got to show some respect. UC is still playing, and they actually had a game last night. So let's go ahead and cover UC first before we dive into the Xavier coverage. UC took a loss to South Florida last night by 3 points. Last week on Saturday, they lost to the Tennessee Volunteers, and I actually didn't get a good chance to watch either one of those games. So, Bob, I know that you watched both of those games. Go ahead and let's talk about last night first. What happened against South Florida?
Well, against South Florida, going into an arena that has banners up in Fifth Third Arena. It's nice walking in to see banners up in the rafters, no matter what year they're from. But UC didn't get it done. We have a really young team, which I think a lot of people need to realize. Also, Keith Williams, for whatever reason, cannot stay out of foul trouble. He's been in foul trouble every game except for the Xavier game, which he actually did play well. We did come away with a loss on that, but we just couldn't stop them. If we score 71 points, that's usually a UC win. Talking with Tom earlier today, we gave up a ton of second chance points. We couldn't get over the hump. And it's really disheartening when you have the biggest guy on the court and he just can't seem to really get anything that he wants. He's in foul trouble all the time.
Let's go ahead and put a name on it. Who are you talking about? Chris Vogt, right?
Talking about Chris Vogt. I got the stats put up here. He's averaging less rebounds than David DeJulius, which is our smallest guy on the court, our starting point guard, Michigan transfer, who I really like a lot. But Chris Vogt is 4th on the team in rebounds. He's 7'1". He's the biggest dude on the floor whenever he's on the floor. And we just haven't seen the progression we wanted to see from him coming with John Brandon from Northern Kentucky. He just hasn't really developed into what we thought he would be. I still have hope for him. He has good touch when he gets good position in the post. He can, finish at the rim, but there was 2 times against South Florida where he got blocked by smaller guys. When you're a big guy of that size going up for a dunk, you cannot get blocked. So I do like the Cincinnati team. We haven't started off how we wanted to, but our team's really young. We have two transfers that are role players. One starting, one's was starting early in the season. Now he's coming off the bench. And then we got 2 freshmen that are playing and 2 sophomores. So Keith Williams is really the only veteran that we got playing, and he hasn't really been playing well because of the foul trouble. So I think the UC season will end up okay, but it's definitely getting off to a slower start than we wanted.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I think you got a poll question for everyone out there that you're going to throw up on the Twitter. So go ahead and let everybody know the poll question for tonight as far as college basketball.
Yep. So the college basketball poll question tonight is, who will go further in this year's NCAA tournament? I really hope we play an NCAA tournament, but if we do, who's going to go further, Cincinnati or Xavier? Then we have an option for neither make it, which I don't know if that's a possibility with how Xavier's playing, and then the other option is they're both eliminated at the same time. I know we both remember that second round when Xavier was
I want to hear that.
So that could happen. That could happen as well. So posting that poll question now, going to have that up for 24 hours. Would love to get a ton of responses on that. And then next week in our college show, we will go over the results on that and go into our next poll question of the week.
Yeah, so we all know that Xavier's going to win that poll, by the way. Just since we've been born, I'm going to keep throwing that out there. Xavier's consistently gone further in the tournament. The numbers prove it. I would love to see something different on that, but it's proof. The proof's in the pudding. So So who does UC have next on the schedule?
UC actually plays Georgia, which interested to see. Yeah, interested to see how that game goes. Georgia hasn't been great in basketball. They did have Anthony Edwards. Obviously, he's gone #1 overall pick. So would have liked to actually watch him play against UC. Don't know if it would have been pretty or not for us. But we got Georgia this weekend. I'm hoping we can get off the schneid and get back to our winning ways.
I'm probably going to bet on Georgia on that one. Tom Crean, Dwayne Wade's old coach, is the head coach at Georgia now. So, I do like Brennan, guys. Let me stop hating on UC real quick because my mom did go to UC for anyone out there, for people out there that don't know that. But, yeah, I do like Brennan. I think I was scared, actually, and I've actually had this conversation with you before. I was scared when Mick Cronin left because I'm like, damn, they might get better. Like, they might actually get a good coach like in here, and they might actually do some things. And last year, I thought that with that team that he had last year and what y'all did in the American Conference, I thought y'all were going to be a scary team come March. I will admit that. I thought y'all were going to be a scary team come March. I like what he did. I like what he did with having players on his team that, frankly, we're already had one foot out the door and ready to move on. Having a new coach for their last couple of seasons. So I will say that I thought that you guys finished the season well last year, and I was telling people like I think that you guys got the right coach. He's actually more of an offensive coach, where Mick Cronin was definitely focused more on the defensive end. You guys definitely clamped up. You guys were one of the best defensive teams in the country year after year after year, even though Xavier would consistently beat you year after year after year. But you guys were a great defensive team. And when Mick Cronin left, I was looking at that as that's an opportunity to get somebody in there and that can really make some noise for them. And last year I saw that coming. So I even told someone after the Xavier UC game this year, give it some time. He's got some young guys in there. He's finally getting his guys in there. It's the second game of the season. Xavier at that point had played 5 games already, and to our credit. And right before that, we had got Colby Jones and Adam Kunkel cleared to play. So that was a big thing for us. Like we hit the ground running. So I do like what UC's building. Give Brennan some time. I think that not having the crowd. ESPN posted that last night. Not having a crowd there, UC had UC as one of the top 5 disadvantages to not having a crowd this season, which I can totally agree with. I have in-laws who are season ticket holders for over 20 years, so I know what kind of atmosphere it's like down at the Shoemaker Center. So definitely hurting y'all this year not having fans out there. That definitely gives you guys an advantage with the student sections on both ends. So that's going to be missed. But I think that, UC will be okay. So they start they already started American Conference play, but next game is going to be against UCF. So anxious to see that game. That's going to be on Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, we're really young. We're starting a freshman, Tari Easton, who's going to be a really good player. Not this year, maybe next year. Definitely by his junior year, he's going to be a stud. Mike Saunders, I love Mike Saunders. He is lightning quick. Once he kind of figures out how to play at this level, he's going to be a problem. And then Mike Adams-Woods, a sophomore. Zach Harvey was a high recruit. He's a sophomore. And then you talk about Rapolis. He's a transfer. David Julius, transfer. And then Bowden Williams. That's our rotation. And Jeremiah Davenport, who's actually playing pretty well this year.
Shout out Moeller. Shout out Jeremiah Davenport, the Davenport family.
He's a sophomore as well. So our team's really young. Brandon's still trying to get in what he wants to get in. The offseason this year didn't help. And then the fans, like you said, didn't help. So I like what UC's got going on. Slow start, but I think the future's bright for us.
I agree. Not really, but moving on to the real topic and the best team in the city of Cincinnati, Xavier, who is currently undefeated and just got put into the top 25. Thank you. We deserve that. Had a game canceled last week due to COVID. Looking to get back on Sunday this week against Marquette. It's been a long time since I've been able to watch my Musketeers play. So excited to see them get back on the court. Got some big news today with my guy Ben Staley getting cleared through the NCAA transfer protocol. It actually had got blocked right before the season, and if I'm being completely honest, let's talk about the transfer rule for a little bit. I know that you got more news on that later on in the show, but the reason that he had and why he got denied is stupid. Like, it makes no sense, and it just shows you what a joke the NCAA can really be at times. So that was upsetting that his transfer got blocked. But the new rule made him eligible today. For people out there that don't know, Ben Staley's transfer from Hampton University, HBCU, last year averaged 22 points a game, which was 8th in Division I when the season got canceled due to COVID last year. So big-time scorer. As a junior, he's got 2 years left. So I believe that he's going to be a big part of the rotation, which is crazy because we're already so deep. We got Adam Kunkel and Kobe Jones back. Like I said, Paul Scruggs has been playing really well. We got to get Kiki Tandy going. He hasn't been himself like he was last year. All Big East freshman last year. He's coming off the bench this year, which is a new role I know for him. Even though he's coming off the bench last year, I think he kind of was expecting to start this year. But I was kind of liking the way that Steele used him. I don't know if he likes that role himself, and the way, like we talk about the transfer rule now, I don't know if he doesn't accept that role, if he's going to stay on board. And like I said, we're pretty deep this year. So that's going to be something to keep an eye out for with the Musketeers. So hopefully we can get back on the court this week. I would love to get a good look at Ben Staley this weekend against Marquette. That would be really, really huge for us. So looking forward to that, and hopefully we can get that going this weekend.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice to see both teams be able to play full seasons to really see what we have. So hoping that both teams continue to play out the season and no more postponements due to COVID.
Perfect. But let's go ahead and move on to college football now. And obviously I know we're going to get the Xavier jokes about the college football team, but
Xavier,
if we're going to bring up old shit, we do have more national championships in football than y'all. So let's go ahead and talk about UC.
Now it matters. Non-basketball. I got you. No, it's cool, bro. It's your show.
Hey, if we're going to talk about history, let's talk about it. I'm just saying. But I know that we got a poll question for college football, and I know that there's another poll question that we're going to post. So go ahead and let the crowd know about this second poll question that we got.
Yep. So the second poll question tonight, which we're going to do the same thing, leave it up for 24 hours. Love to hear all your responses. We're going to say, who's your Heisman favorite? Obviously, this weekend's going to have huge implications on that. But as of now, who's your Heisman favorite? We have 4 choices, and then feel free to comment or quote tweet us with any other player you think is deserving of the Heisman Award, because there's a ton of people. We only picked 4 for this poll. So Kyle Trask, quarterback out of Florida. Mac Jones, quarterback out of Alabama. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback out of Clemson. And then Devontae Smith, who's having a huge year, wide receiver out of Alabama, is getting some Heisman recognition as well. So I know, Cam, you wanted to talk on Devontae Smith. I don't think it's possible for a receiver to win the Heisman, especially this year. Obviously, you have different thoughts, so I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, as a former wide receiver for Lakota East High School, I'm going to back up the wide receiver here because I love Devontae Smith. I think he's the best wide receiver coming out this year. Would have been a first-round pick last year had he came out, and he's really showing it this year. I mean, he's been on fire since the first game of the season. Unguardable, man or zone. He returns kicks as well. So very, very dynamic. Henry Ruggs was a first-round pick, and I believe that last year Devontae Smith was better than him. So going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But his season this year has been remarkable. So I definitely think that he needs to get some Heisman recognition. I've hated how the Heisman's kind of gone to a quarterback award over these last couple of years, and that's not what it was historically about. It was about the best player in college football, not who was the quarterback on the best team in the country or, played on one of the most dominant teams in the country and was the quarterback. Like, that's what it's starting to become because we're not really looking at the numbers. Joe Burrow set all kinds of records last year. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not talking about any Heisman in particular, but it's been ridiculous how it's really become a quarterback award. And there's been people at other positions that have been doing really big things, aka Devontae Smith. So I do believe that he should get some Heisman recognition. I hope that they start to look in different directions. Like, if Mac Jones wins the Heisman, like I'm just not going to respect it. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to respect it. Like, we all know what Alabama quarterbacks have been like, and I'm not saying that he's a bum because he's not, but he's playing on the best. Got the best offensive lineman in the country. He's got the best running backs in the country, best tight end in the country. Like, what do you expect him to do? Like, he's supposed to be doing that. Devontae Smith, like, let's talk about what he's been doing at the wide receiver position. It's been very, very special.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, you can throw a lot of quarterbacks into that situation. They're going to have a ton of success. You can't really plug in a lot of receivers in that spot and have the same success that you're seeing Devontae Smith have. So, to your point, definitely deserving. Everyone knows quarterback's the most important position in football. Now, does that mean that they're the best player in football? Not all the time, but like you said, Kyle Trask is mirroring Joe Burrow's numbers, which Joe Burrow was a no-brainer Heisman Trophy winner last year. If that's the same situation, Kyle Trask is putting up the same numbers. Trevor Lawrence's case got hurt because of him missing time with COVID, obviously missing that Notre Dame game, but he probably has the biggest opportunity this weekend to kind of go get that award if he wants it. If he dominates and puts up huge numbers against Notre Dame, which is a really good defense, even though the freshman quarterback torched them when they played the first time. But if Trevor Lawrence puts up huge numbers, let's say Kyle Trask loses to Alabama, has 3 losses, maybe doesn't play as well against that defense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence might get his name right back up into that race. So this weekend will tell a lot. I think Kyle Trask is the favorite right now. And if he goes out and torches Alabama, which is a really good defense, he might, even if he loses, if he puts up big numbers, he's still going to get a lot of consideration as well.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who they end up picking this year, obviously with the COVID season. I know some people were thinking that Justin Fields should be in the Heisman race, but I just can't really give him a fair fight with playing 5 games this year. Like, let's keep it 100. So I don't think that anybody from Ohio State will be there this year, but it'll be interesting to see who they end up choosing for that. So we'll keep it a lookout for that. Now let's go ahead and move on to UC. They got screwed again in the college football playoff ranking again this weekend. So that was a really wild situation. I'll go ahead and let you take the floor on that. With the Bearcats actually getting ready to play Tulsa this weekend for the American title. So, Bob, let us know, how is the UC Nation feeling out there about their Bearcats dropping again in the college football playoff?
It feels like this game on Saturday doesn't matter. We could win 100-0, and we'll probably drop to 11. It doesn't make any sense. Florida just lost to LSU, which I know what they had last year, but their team this year is not very good, and they lost at home. Iowa State, 2 losses, one's to Louisiana, the other one's to Oklahoma State, who's a good team, but I don't even know if they're ranked at this point, or they're probably ranked closer to the 20s.
No, and Chuba Hubbard is gone.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard left. So, I mean, Iowa State has terrible losses. They didn't play as well. So the committee said, we didn't play, so we dropped a spot. They didn't play as well, and they moved up a spot. Georgia, 2 losses. They don't really have a quarterback. They have a really good defense, but they don't really have much of an offense. I think what Cincinnati's done on both sides of the ball this year, I mean, they've
been inconsistent, haven't really found a quarterback yet that they like. JT Daniels has taken that position the last couple of games, but
he stepped up. But they were playing Stetson Bennett for a few weeks,
and they were like believing in him, which was crazy with the quarterbacks that they had on the roster. They had a transfer from Wake Forest too, who I thought should have been playing, but
He opted out of the season, or else he was going to be the starter. He opted out to prepare for the draft. Then Dwan Mathis actually just transferred to Temple, which is an American Conference team. So it'll be scary to see him, next coming years. But I mean, Cincinnati, and that's what worries me about Coach Fickell. I think Coach Fickell stayed because he thought he had a chance to make a college football playoff and potentially win. I'm not going to act like if we made the playoffs this year and we ran into an Alabama or a Clemson that we were going to pull off an upset and beat them. We probably won't. We probably end up looking like we did against Florida, but just to get there would be huge for our school and for our conference. But I think he thought that there was a chance, and especially this year with everything going on. And the committee has made it very clear that they want no part of a non-Power 5 to make the college football playoffs. That worries me about Fickell maybe realizing that and starting to take some of these Power 5 offers a little bit more seriously. I don't think he will. I think he really likes what he has in Cincinnati. And I think normal season, if we played a full season and won 12 games, won a conference championship, maybe one of these teams, a Notre Dame, dropped a game, maybe in Ohio State, they always tend to slip up a game either in the regular season or in the playoff. But we could have had another shot. But I think the committee's making it very clear that they want nothing to do with the non-Power 5s in the college football playoffs, and that's really a shame. Kind of like the Heisman. The college football playoffs is supposed to be about the best 4 teams in the country, and what Cincinnati's done on both sides of the ball, especially on defense. They got pros on defense. I mean, this isn't just because they're playing American Conference teams. SMU has a good offense. Shane Buechele is a 5-star quarterback from Texas. I mean, we've played some teams, and to not even get the respect of staying where we are, I mean, we've dropped each week now. There's no reason why we shouldn't be number 6. I'm going to leave it at that. And if we were at 6, a team loses, Notre Dame beats a Clemson, they're out. Maybe not slide into Texas A&M because they didn't win a conference championship. We would have had a shot, but at 9, like I said, no matter what happens on Saturday, they're not going to make the playoffs, which is a real shame.
That's pretty sad. The closest that you guys have been, obviously, was back in the Tony Pike, the Armand Ben days. All you needed was Nebraska to get a win in the Big 12 championship that year. They came close. It was really, really close, but they ended up losing to Texas. I don't think you guys were beating Bama that year, but would have been nice to see you guys try to compete in the national championship against them. But you guys got screwed over there.
Yep, and then Brian Kelly left us high and dry to play Tim Tebow.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But let's not reminisce back on those days. Let's go ahead and talk about the UC Tulsa game this weekend, and what do you expect with that? And then we'll go ahead and make some game picks with this game as well. So I'll let you take the floor first on this. Go ahead.
Yep. So Cincinnati, Tulsa, both teams pride themselves on defense. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think UC's offense is better, so I'm hoping that we can kind of break through. And there's a lot riding on this game. UC has to have a massive chip on their shoulder after seeing that college football ranking. So I would expect them to come out and play the best game they've played all season. They've been preparing for a while. Last week's game got canceled. They had an extra week to prepare. They want to make a statement. In the back of your mind, you think if they do go out and blow somebody out, maybe Ohio State chokes up against the Northwestern and the Notre Dame beats the Clemson, and there's a small shot. So we're going to still hold on to that and play like we do have a shot. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I think Cincinnati's going to be able to break through offensively. There's been a lot of beef on Twitter between the two teams. This is the second time this game's been canceled. Both teams are saying the other team's afraid to play them and whatever. UC is obviously not afraid to play anybody, especially in the American Conference. We've made that pretty clear in both sports that we run the conference. So we'll be interested to see. I think UC is going to come out and play really well. I'm hammering UC with the points. I'm hammering the over. Even though I said it's going to be a defensive game, I think UC's got something to prove, and I think they're going to come out guns blazing.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about that. So I'm looking at the game right now, and it looks like that the over-under for that's going to be 45, and it looks like that UC's favored by 14.5. Definitely hammering the over on that. I think that they'll definitely get over 45 points. 14.5 points. Do you think that they win by that many? And if we're going to pick this game, are we going to pick it off the spread, or are we picking it just straight up?
My answer is the same either way, so I'll leave that up to you. I'm picking UC to definitely beat them and to blow them out. I don't think they want any smoke with us. It's in Nippert. We're going to have some fans in the crowd. Like I said, we have a huge chip on our shoulder, and we're trying to make a statement to the college football committee and let them know that we're for real. So I think we're going to come out and blow them out. I might be biased, but I think they're going to be fired up.
I think they are too. So I'm also going to take them with the spread and straight up. So I do believe that UC will get another American Conference championship this weekend. So that'll be fun to watch.
And that'll clinch us a New Year's Six bowl at the very least. So still something to play for. That's good coverage. You'll be playing against a Power 5 school, and that's an opportunity to show that you belong. So definitely a lot to play for. I think they're going to be ready to roll.
Rock and roll this weekend. Let's get it.
And so it's a nightcap, ABC. That's how you finish your Saturday night out, watching UC get a big win.
Correct. 8 p.m. on ABC on Saturday. And also at 8 p.m. on CBS will be the SEC championship between Florida and Alabama. Right now, Bama is favored by 17. Over-unders at 74.5. How are we choosing this game?
Well, it's kind of funny that over is 30 points higher than the American Conference Series.
Right.
I think they'll hit it. Alabama has a good offense, and I think it's going to be kind of one of those high-scoring games. Alabama has a good defense, a really good defense, but Florida has a really good offense. Kyle Pitts, Kyle Trask, we've already talked about them. I think they're going to go back and forth. I think Alabama's going to win, but I would probably take Florida. I think 17 points is a lot. I know Florida's coming off a bad loss, and I feel like they might not have as much to play for. But if they can win an SEC championship, their name's going to get thrown in. I mean, they're 7th in the country. I mean, UC's 9th, undefeated, but they're 7th in the country, so they're not that far off even with the 2 losses. If they beat Alabama, they have a strong argument. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going over on the 74, but I'm going Florida with the points. Alabama to win, but Florida to cover.
I agree. I'm also going to go with that as well. I think that Bama will cover. Well, I actually think that Bama will not cover the spread. So I'm actually going to disagree with you here. So let me go ahead and pick Bama to win the game. But I'm going to take Florida with the points with 17, getting 17 points. I'm going to take Florida. And I'm also going to go under with the over and under. I don't know if they're going to score that many points. I know Florida has a pretty solid defense. I know they're giving up some points here and there in spots, but with championship on the line, I believe that those guys will come with their best efforts. So I'm going to believe in the student athlete here instead of Nick Saban. So
I got Florida with the points as well. I don't know if I made that clear, but I'm taking Alabama to win, Florida to cover.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
But I'm taking the over, and you're taking.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under, and I'm gonna agree with you on the other stat line. So let's go ahead and move to the ACC. They're also having a championship game this weekend with Clemson and Notre Dame. The rematch. I actually placed a wager on this and was crushed earlier in the season. I'm not gonna get into details, but so let's go ahead and talk about it though. Clemson's favorite right now by 10.5. Over under is gonna be 60. Notre Dame wins this game. It's a clear shot. They're getting in. I think that they probably going to get in with a loss either way. But Clemson, they lose. They're going to be out. So I believe that they're actually going to win this game. Trevor Lawrence did not play in the last game. He was dealing with COVID issues. So I'm going to take Clemson. I'm actually going to take Clemson and the points. I think they're going to blow Notre Dame out because I don't think Notre Dame's that good. And I think that Clemson should have won that game in South Bend. I'm not going to go into details on that, but I think that Clemson's going to blow them out. I think that it's not going to be close, which is going to be funny because I still think that they're going to put Notre Dame in the college football playoff, even after getting blown out this weekend by Clemson. And I'm also going to take the over in this. I believe that Clemson's going to put up a high number this weekend on Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson almost won, missing starters on defense, missing Trevor Lawrence, and Travis Etienne only had 28 yards, and he fumbled. They had 3 turnovers, and they still almost won. As a Bearcat fan, I am the biggest Notre Dame fan. I do like Notre Dame. I followed Brian Kelly. But as a Bearcat fan especially, I need Notre Dame to win this game. I don't care if they win on a last-second field goal. I don't care if they win in double overtime. I don't care if it's 2-0 and they only score safety. I need Notre Dame to win this game. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to take Notre Dame on the points. I think it's going to be another close game. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to make a huge difference, and I think Clemson's going to win, but I'm taking Notre Dame to cover the 10 points. What'd you say the over was?
The over is 60.
Yeah, they're going to go over 60 for sure.
I think so too.
Last game was 47-40. I know they went to double overtime, but they put up over 80 points. So Trevor Lawrence is back. Notre Dame has a good offense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Close one. Clemson wins. Notre Dame covers over 60.
So then in the Big 12 championship game, we have Oklahoma and Iowa State. this weekend, and that's another. I believe it's a rematch from earlier in the season. I believe that Oklahoma beat them earlier in the season, and I am correct on that. Or they actually lost to Iowa State earlier in the season, 37-30. So it's a rematch that Oklahoma lost. I believe that Oklahoma is going to win this game. I like Spencer Rattler. I obviously I watched the show on Netflix. He's a cocky mother, but I think that he's pretty good. And I think that they're going to beat Iowa State and get another Big 12 championship this weekend. I do believe Iowa State's a good team. I would like to see the other kid that did the Netflix series. That's the backup behind Purdy right now. I would like to see him get on the field. But Purdy's obviously a legend there in Ames, Iowa, finishing up his career there. So I'm going to take Oklahoma, and I'm actually going to take the points too. They're favored by 5.5 right now. I think that they'll win by a touchdown. And I'm going to take the over in this game as well. It's at 58.
Again, as a UC fan, I hope Iowa State loses by 300. It is a joke, a travesty, blasphemy, whatever you want to call it, that they're number 7 and UC's number 9. I hope they lose by 1,000. I am Oklahoma.
I think we're losing Bob here with the audio. Bob, you good? I don't know. I don't think he's good, guys. Bob, we just lost Bob there on the audio. We'll try to get him back ASAP. I'll try to work on that. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue with the Big Ten championship. We have Ohio State and Northwestern this weekend. Ohio State's favored by 20, and the over-under set at 57. So actually, we just got Bob back. So perfect. So actually, Bob, I didn't get your picks for that Oklahoma. I know that you were going on your rant there, but I didn't get your official picks for that Oklahoma Ohio State.
I'll make it quick so I don't lose connection again. Hammering Oklahoma for the win. Oklahoma with the points. I'm taking the over. Oklahoma's going to steamroll them, and Iowa should not be ranked after this game.
Okay, so listen, I was just actually introducing the next game, the Ohio State Northwestern game this weekend, and I'll let you go ahead and hit on this first. So Ohio State is favored by 20 points in this game, over under set at 57. Both or not both of them, but Northwestern 6-1 and Ohio State's 5-0. What are our picks for this one?
I am going to pick Ohio State. I'm not a huge fan of Ohio State. A lot of my friends know that. And I almost picked Northwestern simply because of that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick Ohio State. They're clearly the better team. It's going to be another rout. They've routed everyone they've played this year. They're ultra talented. I'm ready to watch them play in the playoffs. Justin Fields has only lost once. It was his only playoff game in his whole career. So I know what they can do in the regular season. They're going to blow everybody out. They're going to win the Big Ten, whatever. Get to the college football playoff. Let's see them play. They're going to probably match up against the winner of the ACC championship, Clemson or Notre Dame. Would be a great game, either one. I think they'll beat Notre Dame, but I don't know if they'd beat Clemson. We saw what happened last year. So I'm going to take Ohio State, and I'm going to take the over on that as well. I guess I'm looking for some high-scoring football this weekend.
You are looking for some high-scoring football this week. I think I took the under in one game, but I'm also going to take the over. I'm going to take the over in this game, but I'm also going to take Northwestern with the points. I think Ohio State wins the game, but I'm going to take Northwestern with the points. They're Ohio State's favored by 20. That's a championship game. I think Northwestern comes to play, and we saw what happened against Indiana. Indiana obviously 6-1, pretty good this year, but the defense is a little shaky. I know we only play 5 games, but I think that Northwestern shows up for a championship game. I'm going to take Northwestern in the points, but I believe that Ohio State will win the game. Last game that we'll keep this one real short is the Pac-12, and it's really a joke. They've been a joke the last couple of years. USC versus Oregon, and Oregon's only in the championship because I believe that whoever was supposed to come out of that division had COVID, and they can no longer play in the championship. So Oregon gets to play in the championship with 2 losses against a 5-0 USC team. I'm taking USC. I'm taking the points, and I'm taking the under in this, which is set at 64.
I am going to take Oregon. I'm going to take the under. I think it's bad football. I think it's another joke that USC is getting playoff talk with them over UC. 5-0. Playing against horrible teams, barely winning against like Arizona State those first couple games in the season. USC can take an L. I'll give me Oregon and give me the points with Oregon, and I'll take the under on that. I've taken the over on everything else. They're not all going to hit the over, so give me the under in the Pac-12 with Oregon.
Perfect. We'll make sure that we review those results with you guys next week, and keep us, 100 on those. So we'll be back next week to check on those stats. So we'll go ahead and we're going to wrap up here soon. I know that game's on. And I know that me and Bob both want to go watch a little bit of that. So we'll keep this next one short. We're going to talk about some local college news. Obviously, me and Bob both hooped at Mount St. Joe. Shout out to Toby Kerrigan in that program. That was a great run that I got to do my 3 years there. You did 4 years there. So it was a great. We met there. It was a great time there. So shout out to the Mount St. Joe program and Joel Scudder and them. So they actually they are playing this year. They're 0-3 right now, but they've played 2 Division I teams. Next game is going to be against Valparaiso on Monday. So we're going to be looking forward to that. We're going to talk about that a little bit next week. I know, Bob, you've watched the last couple of games. I wasn't able to. I know they were playing during the day on one of them, and I was at work. But I know that you watched the last 2 games. So give us a rundown of what you think about the Mount St. Joe Lions this year.
Yep, definitely shout out Mount St. Joe. It was a great experience. Talk about winning championships recently. We got a couple banners, a couple rings on our fingers. So UC and Xavier haven't got it done, but Mount St. Joe's definitely got it done in the area. I was able to tune in to the 2 Division I games at the Miami Invitational. Western Illinois kind of got away quick. They ran out some 6'10", 6'7", 6'7" guys.
Right.
D3 teams, especially Mount St. Joe, we just haven't had that size. I mean, I was our center, and I'm about 6'5", so haven't really had the size, and so that game kind of got away. But they actually did play really well against Miami, cut it to 4 with about 5-6 minutes left in the game. Devin Young was making a ton of shots. He was making threes. He was doing kind of whatever he wanted out there. Still running the Princeton offense, which is always going to be a problem. So really liked what I saw against Miami. I think they're going to build on that. The announcers were actually talking about, due to COVID, the practices were actually senior-led practices. The coaches were not at practice due to COVID quarantine protocol. So it was all player practice.
And we run the Princeton for people out there that don't know what offense we run over there.
Yeah, so I would have loved to see what our team would have done with the players ran practice. I think it would have been just a lot of 5-on-5, a lot of rec, but they were able to get some stuff done, and they looked really good against Miami. So interested to see how they do against Valparaiso. I'll be tuned into that, and we'll definitely cover that next week. I hope that they can pull off a win and get that D1 victory. I know I was 0-3 against D1 in my time there, so it would be huge stuff for Mount St. Joe to get a D1 win.
For sure. I was on 1. I did get a point in that game. Shout out to Mount St. Joe. We're going to also talk about Thomas More. I know that's a rival, but our old assistant coach, Justin Ray, is now the head coach over there, and they're an NAIA program now, so we're not even Division III anymore. They're moving up. So they're starting off the season. They're 3-0. They actually finished real strong last year. Coach Ray, I should say, thought that they were going to make a deep run in the tournament. So they didn't get a chance. Obviously, with COVID, that was canceled as well. But started out the season 3-0 this year. Last couple of games have been canceled, but their next game is going to be right before the new year against Pikeville, who I know is always going to be pretty tough. So I'll be tuning into that game as well to get a look at the Thomas More Saints. I know they got a lot of local talent on that team as well. As you know, Coach Ray likes to keep it home, recruiting the Cincinnati area. So I'll be tuned into the Thomas More Saints this year. Looking forward to watching them play.
Yep. Huge win last year against Georgetown. They were the number 1 team in the country. They were doing really good things towards the end of the year. And they talk about, in basketball, you want to get hot at the right time towards the end of the season, towards postseason play. And that's exactly what Thomas More was doing. So it was a shame that got canceled for everybody. But teams like Thomas More, teams like Dayton, teams that were getting hot and, could make a deep run. It was a shame. But I love what Coach Ray's doing down there. I think with, being able to offer scholarships, he's going to get some dudes in there, and they're going to be fun to watch. So make sure you get into them when they're playing.
Yeah, they play on December 31st against Pikeville, so I'll definitely be tuned into them. Shout out to Coach Ray and the Thomas More Saints. We'll be watching you guys this year. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show with Bob's news segments. I'm going to go ahead and let Bob take the floor for this last couple of minutes. And let's talk about 5 storylines that you wanted to discuss before we ended the show tonight.
Yep, so I'll make it quick. So just wanted to kind of go over 5 things that are going on in college sports, just so everyone's aware. Number 1, we're going to start with Keontae Johnson, SEC Player of the Year last year. As a lot of you guys have probably seen, he collapsed on the court during a game, actually ended up in a medically induced coma. But great news recently, great news coming out every day. He's out of the coma. He's able to talk to doctors, talk to his family, was able to FaceTime with his teammates, which I know is huge. Florida actually just canceled their next 3 games. Just with everything going on, they just had to take a step back. So prayers up to Keontae Johnson. Very happy to hear his success, or, that he's been coming through on everything and that he's getting better. And, I hope he gets back to full strength soon.
Absolutely. Keontae Johnson was definitely in my prayers over the weekend when I saw him collapse on the court. So I saw you got in a medically induced coma. I definitely continue to keep those prayers going for him. So I'm glad to hear that he's out of it. Hope that he can get back his strength and we can see him back out on the court, because he's actually a tremendous player. If you go watch his highlights on YouTube, he was a MFer in high school, man.
He's a pro. He's a pro. I really hope he can come back, and he deserves to play in the NBA. So
absolutely.
I'm definitely looking for that. A couple of news on transfers. So I know, Cam already talked about it. All D1 transfers are eligible. I'm going to touch on a couple football transfers. I know he talked about the big Xavier transfer. Jermaine Johnson, Last Chance U fans, season 2 of Independence with Coach Brown. Jermaine Johnson was the number 1 JUCO player, signed to play linebacker at Georgia. He actually just entered the transfer portal. He has 4 sacks this season. He actually is getting decent playing time, but Kirby Smart really likes to rotate his guys in and out. Jermaine Johnson didn't feel like he was getting enough playing time to get enough tape to go pro. So he's looking to transfer to another Power 5 school where he's going to be the number 1 pass rusher. He's looking to get some sacks on his books and shoot up draft stocks. A lot of people think he can go as high as first round. He's an extremely talented player. He's just looking for a new opportunity. So that's big news. Talked about Shiloh Sanders joining Coach Deion Sanders and his brother, the quarterback, ESPN 300 recruit. He's a defensive back from South Carolina. It's a huge transfer down to Jackson State. They also were able to flip Georgia commit DeJuan Warren, who was the number 4 JUCO player, the number 1 JUCO corner. He's a 4-star prospect, flipped from Georgia to Jackson State. So a couple of huge transfers there. And then another one that I know you're not super high on, but I am, Mackenzie Milton to Florida State. This dude was unreal at UCF the year they were the national championships, according to them. This guy can play. He's coming off a nasty injury. He hasn't played in a couple years, so I know that's your biggest red flag. And you like the guy that they have in there now. But if Mackenzie Milton's full strength, he's going to win that starting job, I'm telling you right now. If he's full strength and he's healthy, he is going to be the starting quarterback for Florida State next year.
Mackenzie Milton reminds me of Alex Hornibrook when he started for Florida State, the bum from Wisconsin.
Not even close.
I like Jordan Travis right now, our quarterback down there in Tallahassee. I really like him. I've been tuned into him all season, even though we're not very good. But I really like him moving forward. I'm going to give Mike Norvell the benefit of the doubt. COVID, a lot of stuff going on. We still are struggling down there. But I do like the direction that we're moving in. I like Jordan Travis. I don't think that he's going to give up that position. He showed how good he can be this year. He just, got to get some more guys in there. And just so people know, this is why Deion is at Jackson State. Hopefully Deion can come home and, bring back the Florida State that was Florida State before Dabo Swinney just completely just kicked us to the curb, and we're still sitting on the curb and no one's coming to get us. We're homeless. We're just chilling, and it's not a good look right now. People drive by us, they see us, and it's not good. But yes, I think that Jordan Travis will still be the quarterback for us next year. And I think that Mike Norvell's getting the program moving in the right direction. But I am a Jackson State fan for people out there I'm Florida State and Jackson State, because that's my team. Florida State, Deion is my guy. So I am a Jackson State fan next year, and I will be watching, and I hope that his sons both go down there. His son is actually starting corner at South Carolina right now, having a great year. So I hope that his son that's a freshman, he just won his 4th Texas State championship. I hope that he comes in next year and gets Heisman looks next year, like immediately as a freshman. I know he's going to be a starting quarterback, and I know that his son had a great year playing safety at South Carolina in the SEC. So I think Jackson State's going to be real, and I can't wait to watch them get going. Mike Smith, who I'm in his basketball and fantasy football league. Shout out to him. He went to Jackson State for a few years. So I am definitely on the Jackson State train. Mike, got to work with getting me some Jackson State gear. I got to text you after the show. We got to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what Dion's doing, and I'm definitely interested to see how they turn out next year. I think they're just going to keep getting better. He's going to keep getting dudes to come. So really like what he's doing down there and looking forward to the growth there. Last couple of points before we go. A couple of firsts in college football since rankings came out. Ohio State, back-to-back years getting the #1 overall recruit. They got the wide receiver last year, and they got the defensive end this year. So first time since the rankings came out that the teams got back-to-back #1 overall recruits. And then Alabama, first team to sign the top 2 overall tackles as the #2 player and the #5 player. So you could probably plug those guys on the Bengals and they'd both be starting right now. But Alabama, so 2 firsts in college football. Of course, it's the powerhouses making huge recruiting news, but wanted to put that out there. And then last but not least, huge news in women's college basketball this week as Tara Vanderveer passes the late, great Pat Summitt on the all-time leading wins for women's NCAA basketball coach at 1,099. She's about 60 games off of Coach K. So if he keeps canceling games, she might take the crown as the all-time leading coach in NCAA. But huge news. Congrats to Tara Vanderveer. I actually saw Pat Summitt at Lauryn Hill's game in Cintas for her first basketball game, which is a huge day. Got to see Pat Summitt. She's a huge legend, especially in women's basketball, but in sports in general, she's an absolute legend. RIP to Pat Summitt and RIP to Lauryn Hill. But Tara Vanderveer passing Pat Summitt for the all-time wins leader. Huge milestone. Congratulations to them and to Stanford.
Yeah, Tara Vanderveer is a great coach up there in Stanford. I've watched her win national championships. I've watched her get huge wins over UConn, ending streaks. And UConn goes there to play them at their house, which is not an easy place to play out there in Palo Alto. So shout out to Tara Vanderveer, great coach. Passing Pat Summitt is a really, really big deal. I believe Pat Summitt is the greatest women's coach of all time. I actually followed them a lot in my younger days when she was coaching and had Candace Parker and all those McDonald's All-Americans coming through that program. So shout out to Pat Summitt. She was a great coach. So then shout out to Tara Vanderveer doing great things up there in Palo Alto. Continue to be great. And she'll when she's all said and done, she'll be pretty close because she's going to continue to win games out there. And the way Duke's playing this year, it looks like they're going to continue to lose games. So they did get a win yesterday against Notre Dame, but they're not the Duke of old. I will say that. And I think, like you said, that crowd is a huge disadvantage to them as well.
That might be the #1. I mean, Duke is rocking when it's at full. I've never been there. Shout out my girl Karen Nielsen. She's a huge Duke fan. I worked with her for a couple years. She actually went down there and said it was an unreal experience. So they're definitely missing the Cameron Crazies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here tonight on the Queen City Sports Podcast. Thank you for everyone out there on our Facebook page or on my Facebook page that was tuned into the show. I appreciate you guys' support. Everyone out there that was tuned in on Twitter, we appreciate you guys, and everyone that was out there on Twitch. Thank you guys for tuning in to the show tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. We're going to continue to do this weekly. We're going to talk about this stuff weekly. Next week's going to be Christmas, so we will not be on the air next weekend, but we will follow up with you guys the week after, and we will have a lot more to talk about at that point. So hopefully we'll have some good news for UC fans out there. I know Xavier's going to continue to keep it rolling out there, so that's going to be fun to watch. We'll continue to watch those over these next few weekends. So for everybody behind the scenes, shout out to Tom Berry. Thank you for everything that you do for the show. We really appreciate it. Shout out to Andrew Zielinski, everything that you guys are doing. It's been amazing. We couldn't do this without either one of you guys. Thank you guys so much. And Jalen Goodwin and everyone else behind the scenes that does everything for our show. Jesse Salzar, thank you guys for everything that you do for us. We really appreciate it. We'll be back soon next week with a few shows. And if we don't see you before then, everyone have a great Christmas. I see you in the comments on Tiffany. Thank you for watching tonight. And we will see you guys here soon on the Queen City Sports Podcast. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.